5:35, and we call this meeting to order. Meeting of the Affordable Housing Trust to order. This should be a relatively quick meeting. There's been a lot of stuff done. We're getting closer to divesting of our wonderful property on Hartford Avenue North. Mike's done a lot of work on it. Thank you for it. So, I can never pronounce the name. Jessica, or is she on?
Jessica, I don't see her.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay, but anyway, so I guess, do you want to just,
I'm just making sure I'm not missing something, but yeah, no, nobody's.
okay. Do you want to just give a quick overview of them? Oh, actually, okay, previous minutes. Did everybody have a chance to look at previous minutes?
Yes,
Okay. Did anyone have any changes?
I
Everyone?
got two minor
Okay,
things. One is just a page counter, it's off
yes,
down the bottom.
about it.
And then the very last section, it may be fine, I'm not sure what it means. Minutes approved on remote meeting and then list out 5 members. So I don't know what that means.
Where, well,
So it might just be some old, use the format.
yeah.
I think that's what I'm thinking it is. Because at the beginning, it says
Yeah.
where the approval
Yeah.
took place.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I didn't even notice that. Children's Hospital.
Okay.
You can have that.
As a theory for minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, that was great. So I think we just take that off.
And then just a
Yeah,
page.
that's.
And so Grace can make those two.
Yeah, that's something to do with, they just there's something to do with.
So do I hear a motion that we approve the meetings as amended
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as amended.
and second?
Second.
Okay, I'm not gonna do roll call because, actually, there are a couple people on.
Oh, no, they're not. These were just the organizers.
Oh, Brett?
I don't know why Brett got added to it, but he's there for some reason. In this meeting, just us, remote host.
Okay,
So I don't know.
so we'll just do voice votes.
Yeah.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. So Grace can make those changes and you'll just send them to Denise?
Yep, I just noting them.
Second thing on the agenda is treasurer's report.
We don't have one, because don't have the latest account balances. And so I don't know if the account balances have not been updated. So for instance, the special town meeting, I don't know if those accounts have been added yet. And we just don't know how to pull which accounts those are and how to get those report balances, or if those transactions have not been done and they're not posted. The other part of the treasury report that we want to have is to be able to report the CPA balances, at least for the unrestricted account and for the community housing account. And what I was provided was from June 30th, 2024. So I don't know if there's been no additional, I'm not sure if no additional postings have been made or we just had
Say that again, because I was just typing up the last part. What's the second issue?
the CPA accounts
CPA accounts. Yeah.
of the unrestricted balance and the community housing reserve.
Yep.
What I was provided was from June 30th,
Oh, okay.
23.
That's what's
So
confusing.
9.
Oh, June 30th. Yeah, of course. Yeah. All right.
So I imagine, I don't know how the accounting is done, which would be interesting, but I know I pay my tax bill quarterly and I've been paying that CPA.
I feel like I was told that it's updated July 1st every year. Those accounts for, but obviously if you got it for June, then we need it updated.
Well, I would think, June, yeah, because the fiscal year
That would be
starts
the
on
previous
July
fiscal
1st.
year,
so
June,
yeah.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting is to note there's been transactions for the CPA, there's been collections for the CPA funds.
Mhm.
The state has given us match in November, I think it was. I don't know when that act came, but it was in November. They
Yeah.
provided the guidance as to what that is, $200,000.
Maybe I
So
can see if
I think
Kenny
it'd be
would
very
be
important.
available to like join us.
I just talked to Kenny in the
Oh,
hallway
you did?
and he said that, he had, he provides this to the CPA monthly. I was reading I don't respond, but I read the correspondence going back and forth. And there really is no reason why there is not, especially if there's expenses and
Yeah.
receipts, why there's not an ongoing calculation.
Oh, yeah.
And as we start spending money,
Hmm.
we're going to need that, we're gonna need to know. You know,
Absolutely.
because we can't even keep track of what we have and.
Yeah.
You know, so, and what I was told by Kenny was very different than what Brian heard from Kenny. And it's my
Well,
understanding.
I didn't hear it directly.
Yeah.
This is,
Yeah.
Grace provided some accounts after, either looking at Vader, that the reporting system.
Yeah, Vadar, yeah.
And then asking Kenny questions.
And is there any way we can get into Vader?
Grace has access, because you need a license to get into it.
But Grace can get into it.
Yeah,
Brian, maybe the best thing to do is come down someday,
Yeah.
schedule a
That'd be great.
time with
Yeah,
Grace.
absolutely.
And you can look at it and then you'll know exactly. Kenny went home.
Yep.
He went over to visit him and he had already left. I do remember last year that when we got close to town meeting, Kenny put a bunch of numbers out for the different accounts.
Yeah,
So I don't think that they're restricted to the end of the year. I think that he does do the updates for town meetings. So that's twice. a
yeah,
week.
I know, right, because clearly this is a busy time for him now, because we're
Yeah.
coming up to town meetings, that's probably why he was here today.
Yeah, well, that's what I figured. That's why I took the opportunity to accost him. I don't think he knew who I was. Okay. But this is pretty critical to us, so.
Yeah,
We need to,
Michael, you, the CPC team, or do you go occasionally?
I go as needed,
Mhm.
yeah.
I was wondering, do they have a treasury report?
Yeah.
And if they're able to get updated numbers? I don't know if you know.
I haven't even really paid attention to when I'm on those meetings, I'm usually asking for something, so I'm thinking about what I'm gonna be
Yeah.
presenting on.
You want to deplete the funds?
Yeah.
might you ask Paul Carey?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, because Paul Carey's the chair.
Yeah.
And I think he was pretty good at getting numbers last year. And you might also want to get him ask him about the process, how often they're updated and that sort of thing. Paul is not running for an election to planning board. I think it's the planning board's designee to the CPC, so he'll also be out the CPC, which is unfortunate. So-
Yep.
Yeah, because I'm still, now, the money that we returned, has that gone back to the CPC or don't we know? We don't know anything.
It should have, but I don't know that it
Yeah.
has.
I mean, that's another example of, we want to be able to see that and verify that
Yeah.
has happened in CPA.
Yeah.
CPA funds have been updated, increased.
And there was also that outstanding question about the funding for, we were paying the full load for the housing production plan.
Yeah.
And there was a question of whether that funding was gonna be taken out of our budget and paid back to them. And I
Yeah.
know I wasn't enthusiastic about it, but I don't know if that just happened or if that didn't happen. Because we don't know, because we can't see the budgets. Yeah, you just put Brian in charge. He's good at this stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
is.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Retirement will be so much fun for you.
I'm trying to think, because the motion last time on that was to approve up to a certain amount to pay
Yes.
for that? Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah,
10,500.
yeah, but and I think what we were looking at, we sort of
Yeah.
thought, put it on. A little bit, 'cause we wanted to check to see if, the selectmen had committed.
Right, yeah, I know Joe had looked into that.
Yeah.
As to what was previously committed, and I'm forgetting what he found out.
Because it was that conversation, the plan, there were three entities
Yeah.
that, put money into it.
I'll follow up on that.
So, okay, yeah, and and even so, I mean, did it go forward? And he would, great to, we're sort of operating blind here. So keep pushing. Brian and.
Yep.
And again, maybe the thing to do is just sit down, because then you can find exactly what you're looking for rather than.
That'd be great.
Yeah, we'll find out what CPC does.
Yeah.
To keep tabs on things. I I doubt they have a license for Vadar, but like, it'd be good to find out if they have access and, you know, if their commission is being granted that sort of license.
But it also will give us the ability to see what's in there and also
Mhm.
what's in our budget, because I don't even know what's in our budget right now. You know,
Do we have a budget?
yeah, I mean, we had, the Affordable Housing Trust had, and the money was supposed to be transferred to us.
You have your account.
Account, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Cheap, let's say, you know.
So. So anyways, okay, so town report?
I don't have time to prepare anything formally, but I'm mostly updating things on the agenda. Trying to think what is
Do we want to just go through the agenda and then?
yeah, I'll skip report.
Michael, do you want to, or Kathy, do you want us to talk about the meeting with Pulte? We
Oh,
can do that
right.
after, if you want.
Thank you. I meant to mention that as part of the report, but I didn't have it written down, so I forgot.
Okay,
Brian and I obviously met with Mark Mastriani
Give you notes.
at 14 Homes. Oh, thanks. I wasn't gonna go through them. I was
Oh.
gonna talk about it generally.
Just
Thanks.
triggering.
Yeah.
Did I miss that somewhere on the route that you were gonna meet with them?
I think it was in the minutes, but
It was decided that me and Brian were gonna be meeting with developers.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
yeah, we had
Yes.
discussed that about him.
I think this, I wasn't supposed, you said faulty, I wasn't specific. Yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
And so that was many thanks to Mark and his, the other gentleman who joined us. I think it was Mike and I forget the other gentleman's name.
yeah, they gave 3 people to us.
So yeah, they all, you know, dedicated an hour of their time to talk with us. It was fantastic. So I think the big question we went into that with was how does the town or the trust effectively dispose of property in order to make it right for affordable construction of affordable housing, right? And obviously incentives and the way that we can provide incentives, anything we can do to, much like we're doing with 28 Hartford Ave North right now, which is trying to go through the process of removing the structure, right? So to just offload that property as is would be a lot more difficult than when we finally remove that structure and have prepped the site essentially for new construction. So those sort of
Shovel ready.
shovel ready, exactly. Which is why you see, you know, those real estate signs that says, you know, 5 lots approved and be by purchase.
Yeah.
Mark has said that Upton has a lot of land, but there's hardly any development. And so he took the time to note that the reason for that is because of our outdated zoning requirements. You know, there are, in his opinion, onerous dimensional requirements such as the size of lots, minimum size of lots, and the type of housing is restricted to mainly single family. So while there are still single family home subdivisions that are being constructed,
Yeah.
we're seeing a lot less of them these days. And you know, he didn't really go into this detail, but I assume that a lot of that issue is basically because of construction cost. And an uncertain permitting process down the road to, you know, developers are unsure as to what they're gonna get at the end of a long permitting process. And so the outdated zoning requirements, again, back to, you know, Upton is definitely restricted to mostly single family homes. Right, where you can get a special permit to construct a large senior housing development. And that will provide some sort of flexibility in the home style. But by and large, the only sure thing you can get permitted in this town is a new single family home, right? And that's typical of any other communities, outside or inside 495, to honestly. So creating the flexibility to be able to construct different types of homes, home styles, meaning, you know, 2 family, townhouse attached, anything like that. A lot of the things we went through, with the housing production plan. You know,
Is he talking by right doing this stuff, or is he talking by special permit? Because by special permit, you can do that type of stuff.
He thought this would be open space, right?
Yeah,
This would go
he
through.
mentioned the open space subdivisions as well.
There are different types, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things, and I think that speaks to uncertainty in the process, and this is something that really I think is more directed at me as the planner, which is creating that process to hand over to developers to say, if you want to do this, this is the linear process you need to follow, rather than kind of throwing them to the wolves and saying, figure it out.
But if we did a 40B, did you guys talk specifically about a 40B? Like if
Came up
we
with
propose,
compensation.
They said they'd be willing to partner with towns to do, he suggested developers would be willing to partner with towns, because I asked the question, have you ever partnered with towns to do some developments? And he said that developers might be willing to partner with towns to do a less dense 40B project. So in the case of an unfriendly, high dense 40B, the town is not supportive of. He said that, you know, if engaged properly, the developers, you know, could work with towns to kind of get ahead of that situation and provide a project that the town is more supportive of, but less dense.
What does less dense actually mean?
So like,
when
Well, I know what it means, but what does it mean in practice?
instead of a large apartment building, you know, maybe it's
Like small.
scattered.
Cottages or
Yeah, exactly.
townhouses, that sort of thing?
Yep.
And the other thing we talked about is like a little, you know, one of my fantasies is doing these little 25-unit sort of cul-de-sacs, with
Yeah.
little houses in them for
Yeah,
families
we
and
can round the
seniors.
back,
Yeah,
and not in the middle, and
yeah, and then, yeah, and, you know, but capping them at like 25 units each or something. You know, be doing small apartments, doing small, you know,
Was it the Globe yesterday that was talking about, I've read so many damn newspapers, that was talking about,
okay,
talking about the housing, new housing in this country as a whole is starting to get much smaller.
Yeah.
As it should actually, you have
Yeah.
ridiculous sized houses, it's absurd.
Yeah.
Because partly because of the lack of availability of land, but mostly because of the cost of construction.
And Upton is really, Massachusetts. I mean, this is one of the things that, what's his first name, the guy you talked to?
Mark.
Mark mentioned at an after conversation when he came to the planning board meeting, was that we have really strong energy efficiency codes,
Mhm.
which make it very expensive to
Right,
build
yeah.
affordable housing.
Right.
And that's another reason they tend to go for the density, is because it is so expensive to build housing. I mean, you know, the cost when I built my house was phenomenal, you know, just to meet energy efficiency requirements. And that was before the more recent ones. And, you know, that's another reason for density.
Mhm.
But this doesn't have anything to do with the synopsis if you're meeting with him.
Oh,
It
he
was interesting, he said, I was surprised when he said, he would maybe be interested in a less dense project. Now, that's probably just because of his type of development, his company, right?
Yeah.
Whereas others would prefer probably more dense.
No, he offered that as that would be more to the appetite of the town to,
Oh.
in place of having a larger, you know, building that has large massing and several stories that, you know, you can partner with a developer to pick a site and identify a development that the town could bring forward, like the board of selectmen could bring forward to the town as an option for development as we partnered with, or the Affordable Housing Trust, I suppose.
So similar, the property they built up at Upton Ridge, that's obviously all 55 and over, but it's all attached houses, isn't it? It's in blocks of 4, mostly some 3.
Yeah.
Is that sort of thing that would the town go for that kind of thing? Obviously not restricted to seniors because it shouldn't be,
Right.
but is that something that would be doable?
Maybe we'd have to explore that. I don't know.
Virtually everybody in the UK does that.
I would say that, well, so that needs to be, I think this point is more appropriate, for the capabilities of the trust, which is, he said the Affordable Housing Trust could dedicate funds to market and affordable unit developments to incentivize the creation of more affordable units within a given development to offset cost.
Could you just
Yeah.
try
I'm
and
trying to ask the same thing.
I was just reading off my notes, but what that means
Yes,
is.
no.
No, those are my notes that I quickly sent to them after our meeting,
Oh.
so they weren't lost. So basically you could develop a program, through the trust.
Okay.
That a developer or anybody looking to create housing units.
Yeah.
Could apply for funds to be dedicated to that development. And that those funds would offset their costs, the developer's costs. So in the case of, let's take for example what Pulte Homes does. Let's say it's 100 units of a townhouse attached, some attached, maybe blocks of four like you were saying.
Yeah.
And yeah, sure, they've promised the town 10 units of affordable housing through that. Well, wouldn't it be great if we could get another 10? So the, obviously, as it was discussed, for the town to be able to create 10 affordable units in and of itself would cost multiple millions of dollars. But for Pulte
My
to,
blade,
Yeah.
That's okay, we still like,
it said 6 o'clock on the agenda.
No, it's in five.
it's 5:30.
you need more new glasses.
Read it again.
The one I got said 6 o'clock.
Oh, sorry about that. I don't know why.
Maybe we were trying to tell you something.
Yeah, you're trying to get rid of me.
That's right.
Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
Maureen, thanks for, I'll look into this, I'll make sure that all the agendas went out were consistent. So obviously we don't want to accidentally start at 5:30 or at 6 o'clock when we were supposed to start at 5:30.
Just as a quick update, to interrupt for a second, the conversation they're having now is Brian and Mike met with Mark Mastriani from Pulte Homes, to talk about what Upton could do to incentivize, with developers, affordable housing.
Right.
And, we also, if we have time at the end, I'd like to circle back, seeing you're on a call about the lack of a treasurer's report that we have this month, because there's some issues that it would be good if you were aware of. Well, let's finish the agenda first and hopefully we can circle
Right.
back.
Yeah, and I'll just end with this point, and maybe I'll just forward out my notes to the rest of the trust afterwards. So you could develop a system where the trust has a program that a developer might request or apply for those funds to be dedicated to their development, and those funds would be used to create more affordable units within a given development that might not otherwise get them. So, he gave numbers like, they typically lose in quotes, they're obviously making money at the end of
Yeah.
creating the development, but they lose something like 100,000 per unit that they develop, and that's even on townhouse units, he was saying. So like, it's consistent amongst single family units when they have to create affordable single family units versus townhouse units. They're basically losing $100,000 for whatever type of unit it is. And so if that money can be thrown back into a given development, then they can create more affordable units.
We'd be talking about if you wanted 10 units in a development that had,
And then the money's gone.
then you've got $1 million right there. $3 million, that kind of money.
Right, it's just an example for discussion as to the types of things that the trust could consider going
I
forward.
mean, I think it's.
Are there other grants, something like that?
There's probably a scaled down version of that, but I'm just throwing out those
It's a good
round
idea.
numbers.
I mean, in principle, it's a
We
really
have
good
to-
idea in principle.
Find out if,
Is
I'll go.
Is the affordable units, are they state run? If
Oh.
the developer created affordable units within their development, wouldn't they be reimbursed for something from the state?
I don't believe so. I think if it's, I do believe you can get a subsidy
Yeah,
if you want to get lower income people in,
yeah,
but you have to be subsidy eligible. And the way that these units are built is they don't, people can buy or rent one of these units without them being subsidized housing.
I think
Okay.
Maureen, I think what you're getting at is, so I know for the 40B process, in order to be eligible, the applicant needs to be subsidized by a particular state grant program.
Correct.
And so that's how they become eligible for the 40B process. But in these other processes where affordable units are a requirement of the town to build,
Is that part of the inclusionary zoning?
yeah, pretty much, yes.
All right,
It's unclear to me if they would actually receive any subsidy as a result of that, because they would not have gone through the 40B process for that. I'm not 100% sure, but that as I'm thinking about it, that makes sense to me.
I mean, with all the state, with all their affordable housing and the MBTA stuff, they have to subsidize something.
Oh, yeah, of course, which they,
They're gonna force us to do this. They have to subsidize something.
And I think some of this
Eventually will.
stuff is a work in progress, like the state has not passed
Yeah.
the bond bill for housing yet. And they're talking about pushing out a lot of money along with that
yeah,
to incentivize community, but, I don't know if that's going to gateway communities or if that's going, there's just a lot that hasn't been spelled out yet, so there may be money coming down the pike. Question, when your conversations, and this is not Pulte's model, but one of the things is that when people do townhouses,
Yeah.
they're A, more expensive, and B, they're, you only count the affordable units. If people are doing small scale apartments, the market rate and the affordables are all enveloped in, they're all considered affordable.
yes.
Did he talk at all about small apartments, or is that not his thing?
No, that's not, Pulte doesn't do that.
Well, everything's affordable, right? He said, no, you'd have, there's nonprofit developers that are focused on nonprofits.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you can find those, but Pulte is definitely not
Okay,
into that.
and he's not into apartments, he's into townhouses. and
Correct.
single families.
Yeah.
He did, we asked the question of paying in lieu of affordable units in your project.
Yeah.
To pay a fee. And it was interesting, Mark's view was that they do that.
Mhm.
And where it gets tricky is that the towns always, usually, their calculations are too high. So there's a negotiation that takes time and for them to be successful, it's a lot lower than what the towns would like. So, but he says, in his view, he goes, I would always encourage towns, build the units. Because we're here, you gotta get units, it's a definite thing, versus taking the fee instead, and then accumulating those fees over time to help with another project. But then I forget one of the other people on the phone, he had a different view. He goes, I don't necessarily disagree. He goes, but it can also be advantageous if you collect those fees. It might have to be a couple of developments. But now you have a large seed project
Yeah.
money for maybe working with a non-profit
Profit.
developer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I thought he would definitely say, oh, I'd rather pay the fee.
Same, yeah.
Mhm.
Because the fee is a lot less from what it costs to actually build one of those units.
Yeah,
So I was surprised.
Well, they're probably only gonna give you what they're not gonna get for the affordable unit, that $100,000.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was basically his reasoning, is like, if you start making your fee to be upwards and over with 125,000.
Yeah.
They say you're more likely to get the fee rather than the
Yeah.
unit. And he gave an example of in Shrewsbury, they paid something like $90,000 per affordable unit for their payment and or on project that they had up there. It's, oh yeah, and I'll follow up with Jasifa to see if she can, look into the programs that other towns might have implemented, such as like what I was describing, where the trust has a program that you can apply to get money to be put towards a development for the creation
Okay.
of units within a development. Maybe there's something that a town has created
Okay.
on like a scaled down version.
And is there any other, I mean, maybe two types of developers. One is a not-for-profit developer. That might, I mean, Habitat for Humanity, we're all also already met with. But they have a very different model because they work with sweat equity, not with, I'm just wondering if there might be. Did Habitat do apartments?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Because I like to cut Maureen.
Like
Um,
that?
Yeah,
Francis
Tigger.
got me that.
So, because there are places that do that, and I used to work for one, but they were focused in Worcester. And, but when you do when you're, a lot of the nonprofit, because they're nonprofits, are for the lower, I mean, they are low mod income, but,
Yeah.
They also know how to get subsidies and stuff like that, so.
Mhm.
Community builders is another one.
Oh, yeah.
There's a couple that we may want to look at.
Yep.
But then also get somebody, I don't know if he's talking to us right now, but, just have a conversation with Kevin Lobiser.
Yeah.
Why
About,
wouldn't he be talking to us right now?
huh?
Why wouldn't he be talking?
Well, because he got beat up pretty bad on the Pickering project.
Did he?
Oh,
Oh,
Yes, Kevin's more than happy to speak with
yeah,
staff.
so I think Kevin might be a good person to talk to.
Yeah.
Because his model is apartments.
Yeah, I
And
was thinking about maybe reaching out to Lobiser next, but then I think it would be good to reach out to a nonprofit as well next to start getting, because we're getting the for-profit
Yeah.
perspective on things, which
Yeah.
is helpful.
Yeah.
And like I was explaining to Marcus, it's really helpful to understand what's going on that side of the counter.
Yeah.
Because all I see is what's happening on this side of the
Yeah.
counter. But then nonprofits bring in a completely different perspective, so that'd be good.
And my preference, quite frankly, would be to look at a model that involved, apartments. I mean, I kind of like the small, as I said before, the little villages, if they were all
Yeah.
affordable. But, it'd be kind of nice to look at
Mhm.
apartments that, even if 25% are affordable, they all count as affordable.
well, if Kevin's having trouble building a town, what's the point of going?
Oh, he isn't having trouble. He just got beat up a little bit but I think it's softened. Just because when you propose 40B in someone's backyard.
Oh, is that what you mean? Oh, God, yes.
Yeah, so.
So not physically assault.
No, I thought, no, I didn't. mean that. I thought you meant that his project was in trouble.
Oh, I don't think so.
Well, do you want me to try to find
So you're talking about the low-rise apartments? like
nonprofit
2 or
developer?
3 stories?
Oh, yeah, I probably have in my email somewhere some examples. Okay, so I'll pass those along if you want to reach out.
Sure, I can do that.
Yeah.
I've seen some at the Midway development.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that would
Just
come up.
300.
Yeah, community builders is definitely one.
yeah, that's a humongous project.
I want to say NOAA, but I forget what that stands for. And I think it's NOAH, NOAA,
So that's
something affordable housing, I guess.
Yeah. No, there are a couple that came up, so we can look at those.
Yeah,
But anyways, if you got great work, folks, if you guys can continue that.
yeah, there'll be an
that'd
ongoing project to,
let's not forget they're in the business of making money.
yes,
So the less money they have to part with, better as far as they're concerned.
yeah, of course, the
They're
bottom
They're
line.
not altruistic,
Yeah,
Yeah, which is, I mean, that's their job. I mean, I have no problem with that. That's what
Yeah.
they do.
but we need to bear that in mind when we're having conversations, because they're not there to.
Yeah, they're not,
Serve us.
they gotta make sure they're behind.
But I gotta say though, I can only talk to after, is that I was surprised that they were very open to, and they understand this
Yeah.
is needed. And it wasn't like kind of resentful or anything like that. He goes, and they said 10 to 15% of a development could be affordable and still be successful.
Yeah.
Wasn't trying to push back and
Yeah.
no complaining on that side at all.
Don't you think they see the writing on the wall? I mean, everything you read in the newspapers is about the lack of affordable housing.
Yeah.
Just yesterday in the Globe, 1 in 4 young professionals is planning on leaving the city within 5 years because they can't afford to live there.
Yeah.
What are they going to do for Boston?
This
So
was a
it's
great
very much, but it's very much a national, actually, it's not just a national.
But that was an
issue, it's
affordable
international
housing.
issue.
That was housing, period. These are
These are people that can't afford to live in.
Our
Right.
population went
Right,
down.
because
last
houses
census.
do
It did,
really
yeah.
up, even people.
Well,
Or
like-
no.
rent an apartment.
It just didn't grow as expected, I think it was.
Okay, so let's go on to discussion, inclusionary zone, can we wrap this up, because I just wanna, okay. Discussion, inclusionary zoning and accessory dwelling bylaw changes, Mike, do you want?
The accessory, inclusionary zoning's on for public hearing, planning board in, 49 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I'll bring up some of the points that I just mentioned about my conversation with Pulte and what they expect as a reasonable, payment in lieu of fee. So that's a discussion we'll have, tonight. Accessory dwelling unit bylaw, planning board, we talked about it last time with the planning board, we just weren't ready with that language, that I had written up for that one. Town council had way too many comments to address, in too short of a time to get that ready for town meeting, so. But we don't have Jasiva on, but she is working with CMRPC to create an accessory dwelling unit program of some kind. To get different towns together to understand where we're all headed with that, and I expect we'll get some helpful resources out of that to then get a better, more workable bylaw. Probably, I'm hoping we'll be ready for the fall, on accessory dwelling units, so.
You know, one of the big outstanding, we talked about this last time on that, was do you restrict it to family members? Or you basically, I think 2 people on the planning board had real issues
Yeah,
where you're basically getting rid of single family zoning. Because every single family lot can now have 2 houses on it, basically.
Well, perhaps that's the way it has to be.
Well, no, but I mean, this is a question that the planning board had. And there's different opinions towards it and different thoughts, but, you know, it was a real, and then the town council had a bunch of, you know, issues about, you know, what legally is gonna hold up and, you know, so it just was determined by that we just weren't ready to move forward yet.
Yeah.
I mean, allowing ADUs doesn't mean you can't ever build a single family home. It's just an
Correct.
option you've got. It doesn't mean you've got to have one.
Yes, but
Am I misunderstanding what you're saying?
no, I mean, basically what it means is Brian can build an apartment behind his house, I can build a apartment behind my house, anybody can. So every single family, you know, we have 1 acre, 2 acre zoning in Upton. And every house in Upton can now be a 2 single family unit. And that's not necessarily what people in this town want to do.
well,
Yeah,
right,
If
but
they conform to, they can only do that if they conform to zoning.
Maureen, I can't hear you. Can you talk
They
up?
can only do that if they conform to zoning. I mean, if you're in an agricultural area or you're in an area that's a small lot, you can't, some of these places, you can't put an ancillary apartment or anything on it.
Yeah, but we're talking like the 1, 2 acre zoning places. We're not talking downtown 140. We're talking where I live, where you live, where I think
Well, I'm
everyone.
agricultural. I don't
Huh?
think you can do it on agricultural.
well, so these are just the
Yeah.
specifics that would need to be
Yeah.
hammered out
Yeah.
for
These
a
are all
new
the
bylaw
specifics.
is all. So, I would just quickly on the comments on having 2 houses. I mean, I think any accessory dwelling unit bylaw would attempt to do not provide for 2 houses on a lot. It would be, I would structure it when I write up the language to have it say something to the effect of the characteristics of a single family home has to be maintained, right? So that would mean not including a whole new front facade. That makes it appear as though you do have two single-family homes on a lot. But while still providing for an extra
Yeah.
unit, so. Anyway. That's it on that.
So the next item is status update. Determination of applicable RDA for demolition of 28 Harvard Avenue North.
Yep, so you saw, I sent it out to everybody. You saw that we received a negative determination, which is a good thing.
I'm sorry, I read the wrong word already.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of like, I almost responded, it's Massachusetts, so everything means something else when we're talking about, everything's a double negative. I mean, the planning board, where we, the board endorses approval not required, it's right, A and R's. That makes no sense, it's just confusing language. So determination of applicability, received negative determination, which means that it was approved. So I went ahead and incorporated all of the requirements from my meeting with Conservation Commission into the RFQ for the demolition of the building. So that included, just providing for erosion and sedimentation control, hay bales, things like that, silt fence, to protect the water resources on the site when there's demolition going on. So that was basically it. So as expected, went nice and smooth, which was great.
And you have, okay. And so the status of the demo?
The demo,
Thought you had that here somewhere.
yeah, it's one further down, but so like I was just saying, I incorporated all of the requirements from the RDA filing into the formal document for bids of the RFQ for the demolition. So I completed that language and I sent that off to town council to just to give a once over, make sure that document looks good before going live with the to try and get some bids for demolition. So hopefully we'll be getting that soon back from council.
And at the last meeting, we empowered you to just do
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
So,
As soon as I get that and it's back from council and their minor comments can be fixed, I'll go live with it.
How many do you think we're likely to get?
I don't know. We'll get at least one bid.
this is just for the demo.
Yeah,
so
well, I
it's
know,
not-
I know.
Yeah.
Just to make sure the damn thing the
Yeah.
darn thing
Mhm.
gets demolished.
I have a thing of kerosene in the match. I'm still willing.
Are you typing that? No.
Yeah, no, I know of at least one company that's interested, so.
Good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Okay. And you'll push council if you don't, I know they have a lot on their plate now, but you'll push them, so maybe within a couple weeks. It's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yep.
It'd be good to make the upcoming constructions. Okay. Why don't we finish off with 28 Harvard Avenue North? You have the RFQ, so where does the RFQ is the one for development, correct? That's the,
Well, I can talk about both of them. The RFQ is one for demolition, but the RFP
it's
is,
not, but
yeah.
it's CRP.
that's fine. You're not taking any action on it, so it's fine. I'd spoken with council last week about the request from this trust to incorporate the either or scenario into the proposed development. So I explained to her that we want to have in the same bid document the opportunity for people to bid on the affordable, but if they don't want to bid on affordable, they can bid on purchase versus market rate. But obviously, the trust would prefer and look more favorably upon any bids to provide affordable units. In the unlikely or likely scenario, I don't know, that we receive no bids on affordable, but we do receive bid on market, you'd still have the opportunity to pursue whatever the market rate bid was. Obviously, and the trust would have the ability to reject any and all bids, so you're not locked into anything really.
And when do you expect to get that finalized by council?
She didn't give me an expected date today, but I spoke to her last week and I reached out today to say do you have anything on this? And she said no, but she did recognize, she knows it's time sensitive, that we're eager to get going.
So again, something within a
Yeah.
couple of weeks.
I'll follow up, absolutely.
So I'll follow up with you.
Yeah.
Um, Mike, just to let folks know, has been phenomenal with it. It's like he's got a lot on his plate. He's really been pushing to get this stuff out. So
Great.
I really do appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you.
Do your job, Mike. Gosh.
So, okay. Any questions on 28 Hartford Avenue North?
That's just
Nope.
a bloody thing demolished.
Yep.
Oy, oy, oy.
It's moving slow, but it's moving.
It's finally moving.
Will it move by itself?
It might.
Oh, it is. I mean, it's kind of nice to have stuff on the
I
agenda.
mean, all that wind we had yesterday.
About next
Yeah.
step, yeah. Okay, next thing is CMRPC programs. You see if isn't on the phone, so we can't talk about that. I did want a quick update on 47 Main Street, the 40B, mainly because once the ZBA okays that, we can enter safe harbor, which gives us 2 years to really start moving on beating our 40B
Yeah.
quota, so, or obligation.
Mhm.
So, can you just go over a quick update of where that stands?
They wrapped up, the zoning board wrapped up, traffic and stormwater, so now we're not done with those topics. So the next discussion is going to be civil engineering, so design of the site, things like that, retaining walls, grading.
When's that gonna happen?
Next Wednesday. I did get word from, and I can't share anything about it because I don't have anything, but I got word from the applicant that they might be submitting some revised plans. So the design might have changed some. So, and if that's the case, it'll probably kick the process out another month because we'll have to get additional reviews done for a new design. So, but that's where we are with that.
Mike, when that starts, do you have to go back from step one or review some of those, like for drainage and see if that impacts the approvals of that?
I'm not an engineer, so I can't answer that with 100% confidence, but I don't think they have to go back to ground zero completely on it, especially if so long as the entire site isn't changing. They can probably go back and just visit the portions of the site that are changing and evaluate that specifically. So they probably don't have to go back to the drawing board completely.
Especially if they're making it smaller. or
Well, that would be my
something.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if I were betting, that's what I would.
Yeah, I
guess.
would too.
Is that 5 stories, including the,
As of right now, if you include the basement
and the,
units, it's
and the
it's
top
5,
unit
yeah.
with the solar
Five.
panels?
Yep.
So if they take off that top one,
Yeah.
Maybe.
how many units would they be losing?
I don't know yet. They haven't submitted anything.
Yeah, because it was close about our safe harbors from 40B too, so I don't know if that would.
Oh, I don't think it'll, if they lose you, they'd have to come back with losing a substantial amount of units for us to
Okay.
lose safe harbor.
Something I asked to put on the agenda, and I don't know if it's anything people might be interested in, or even if it's anything that's feasible, is the discussion of the feasibility of a mixed-use development for downtown, which includes housing, affordable housing, for the Holy Angels land disposition.
I think that's a discussion that David had, it's on the Economic Development Committee. I think that's a discussion they had at length when we were talking about the downtown redevelopment. I mean, we can discuss it, but will it ever happen? I don't know.
Well, the thing is, now that it's been RFP'd, that.
Oh, yeah.
process-
If folks don't know, the expression of interest is out on the town website for that site.
That's not the first time though, is it?
Well, it's the first time for this process. It's not a formal RFP, so we're not asking for developers to submit bids with specs and, pro formas to show. It's basically just an advertisement to say, if you are interested in this building and or the surrounding land, if you have an idea for it, just come talk to us.
Is that why the town's repainting it?
I don't.
That's not why. They want it to look good.
Excuse me.
They, because it's the first thing you come into town and see is the Ristine and the Holy Angels, and they just want.
Yeah.
That was approved at the last.
Okay, well, that's
Yeah.
why I'm asking the question.
But I
if we
have a
have-
question for Michael. Have we done the wetland delineation in that area?
No, not yet.
So we really can't do anything with Holy Angels, that whole property, until we do the wetlands delineation. And I mean, there's a lot of it in there.
And we
Right.
also don't know, we don't own some of that land, correct?
Correct, yeah. Maureen, I believe we budgeted to do wetland delineation or resource delineations.
We
Yeah,
could-
within the earmarks. So
but
we'll
they haven't
eventually,
got that this spring? Or
I don't know,
fall?
probably not this spring.
What? They're not gonna do it this spring?
The wetland delineation?
Yes, when are we gonna get this bridge done?
Oh,
That's
the,
all part of what the bridge, where the bridge is going, and that walking bridge and this.
oh, I think we're talking about two slightly different things. But yeah, I think with how with the bridge, I would defer to Joe on that. So I don't know exactly where in that process. But with regard to Holy Angels and the delineation of resources that are coming up that impact Holy Angels, that also needs to be delineated. And I don't believe that's being done through the bridge process because that's a different, it's very close, but it's not the same tract of land.
Oh, well, I was under the understanding that they were gonna do the whole area there.
Okay,
That's
I'll talk to-
that is what we talked about.
okay. I'll talk to Joe about that and
Yeah.
confirm because I might be a little confused.
I think with the expression of interest, if I'm correct, that's exactly what it is. Because there are too many unknowns to be able to come up with a solid proposal. I mean, no
Yeah.
one's gonna make a proposal if a piece of the parcel is not owned by the person who's, or if there's no wetlands delineation, like we can't put
Yeah.
housing there if there's no parking. But
Well,
there's
then-
somebody,
We
there's
have,
somebody,
we didn't know what to do with the Holy Angels, but the whole thing stems on a wetlands delineation. The water runs down through there, and that's part of what EDC lost out on their RFP because no developer wanted to take it, not knowing what the delineation was.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Correct?
So why are we, if it isn't stupid of a question, why are we putting out this request for interest? I mean, what's the point? What is
Well,
the point?
It's just the gauge interest. So like Maureen was just saying, we didn't get any bids on that when we did the RFP and the stated reason, like Maureen was just saying, is because developers didn't know what they were getting themselves into.
Right.
And so they didn't want to gamble on that. It was a big unknown for them. So this
That's why I was under the assumption that the wetlands delineation was gonna be for that whole area.
yeah, Maureen, I'll
Would
double
you
check.
Check with
No.
Joe on that.
Yeah, but I mean, it will be done. It will be done. Just that it's I don't know when in relation to the bridge project and in relation to Holy Angels. So because we got lots of things going on at the same time, and I don't know which one is which sometimes. But I'll
We don't have lots of things.
yeah, I
going on.
thought that was approved at town meeting too. I thought that was approved specifically because I thought that,
Coming from some grant money,
I had applied for a grant.
approval, that was a grant.
I had applied for a grant to have that done, but it was not approved.
okay. You have a
What
grant that was
I
approved?
think it was $125,000 grant that they were gonna take money from.
That's the earmark money. That's what I was talking about
Oh.
before. Yeah, that's the money we were talking about using for that.
Okay.
But basically this step, just to be clear, there's a person I know in Upton who wants to, as an expression of interest of putting like a small performing arts place there. And one of the things that I was thinking was, and this is again, this is concept we're talking about. It's not, we're gonna
Right.
do this, don't know until you can bark.
Yeah.
I talked to Mike about it today and apparently you can't do it. But I was thinking if you could put in affordable, artists housing. You know, but you can't do that because you can't limit to say only artists and their families. That's not one of the things you can,
Yeah, I don't think the town can do that.
Right.
yeah,
Put that limitation on it, but like I was.
yeah, because it's a lottery system, so anybody
No.
who fits the income, you know, requirements, but, you know, I mean, that just seemed like a funky thing, because if you look at the type of businesses downtown, you know, that would really help that area, but,
Yeah.
but you know, if you do put like housing on the first floor of that, and again, this is just concept we're talking about. If you put a performing art, and then the rest of that, you put, you know, affordable housing, it's a nice
I
place.
mean,
for
in
it.
theory, I couldn't agree with you more, but we've been down this road before.
Yeah.
So what is the point of doing this when we haven't had the evaluation done? And why are you asking people to give you an expression of interest when there's really nothing to be interested in?
And no,
These points.
the expression of interest doesn't have to be like anything. It just is an opportunity for us to connect with developers who may be interested in it, and then we can work with them if they are. So like if somebody says, yes, we are interested, but we just don't, we don't want to put in a bid because again, we don't know what's going to happen and we might lose money on it. This is an opportunity for them to connect with us. If we can say, oh, you're interested in doing that, well, that's something we can gear an RFP towards, that'll serve that purpose. Or if the town can be of assistance in prepping that site in some way, I don't know. But it's just a way of starting that conversation rather than jumping 3 steps ahead and issuing another RFP only for us to get no response.
I can see where you're coming from, but I still think that the point Maureen made is really.
Well, Joe just walked in, so you can ask him that question, Maureen,
There you go.
about the wetlands delineation.
I can ask him that question. Is the wetlands delineation, my understanding was it was for the whole area there, not just the bridge, but the area.
Sorry, wetland delineation, that was,
I assume she was talking about the earmark, the
Out of the
125,000.
earmark Of the 125,000.
oh, that for behind, Holy Angels?
Yeah.
Yes, to delineate that, Center Brook.
Thank you, Joe. That's
Oh,
what I thought.
Joe, is that one end all the way down to Rushford and Sons property?
Essentially, yeah.
So this
So
would
that
be the
whole site.
wetlands delineation that.
Yeah,
So, and, okay, so that's what, it
Yeah.
isn't 2, it's 1.
correct, yeah.
When's
that being done?
Where we just, have the contract with the state executed, so now it's gonna be developing the scope of work to then, retain someone. I thought you were talking about wetland delineation on 28 Hartford Ave North.
No,
so-
we've been through
No,
that.
we're already, that's moving for a change, we're not involved in
So-
it.
How long does that process typically take?
I would anticipate that we're probably getting someone on board, probably in the June timeframe, June, July.
And the, timetable on this is April 11th or something? To
Oh.
respond to the,
The EOI?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. maybe we just talked about the possibility of affordable housing,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, no, absolutely.
so.
You go back to the original plans and
Actually.
the potential development downtown, you'll see that
Kick it
there's
out.
affordable housing,
Okay.
housing there.
I was just double checking.
Someone tells me April 25th.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
You'll be here for the plan. You and ask.
Oh,
me
exactly.
if it's coming for a planning board meeting.
Past discussions is that, I'm not sure if it's Thompson's property.
April 25th.
Yeah, Tommy Thompson.
Are they open to working with the town on the development?
Well, he died, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes
That's
it
right. Yeah.
So who owns it now?
George Thompson died.
That's right, George died.
Okay,
I don't know who Tommy Thompson is.
I thought it was Tommy.
He's the one that
Emily.
owns the property.
So Maureen, you probably know more than we know. Is there interest in selling that lot as well?
Oh, yes, and Joe, the price is right up there too.
I think that's the main question is whether or not that price has come down, if the family is trying to offload it compared to, just having it as really good rental income.
Yeah.
Because he went
One
from
of the-
one.
Well, it's all
price to
paid for,
another.
so it's just, he's just taking in money,
He went
but it
from
was like
one
$740,000.
But one of the tenants is leaving, correct? To go over to the old,
That's the hope, but one of the other tenants wants to expand.
in that site.
Mhm.
Oh. So this is all very pie in the sky.
Yep.
How much is he
So
asking
far.
for?
It was like 740 last time.
And he was at, what, 300 and something to begin with? Or 400?
That's my understanding. Yeah, it was originally like 300, 400. Fairly reasonable.
So to go back to Jeannie's question, why are we sending this on this, I know it's not us, but why would we spend time doing expression of interest in a parcel of land that is hypothetical at best?
So the reason, outside of just abandoning it, is that it allows us to engage not only the developing community, but also the community at large to get ideas, concepts. You had two residents saying, well, let's make it a town performing arts center, sort of like, One Grafton Common
Yeah.
with Apple Tree Arts. Some of the responses to people who did not submit for the RFP were that the criteria was so specific, we didn't want to outlay money without any idea on whether or not there would be a return on that money. So that prevented a lot of people from even throwing their concepts because they didn't know if it would be supported, never mind they didn't know what the site could hold for potential. So the idea was trying to maintain engagement by just asking for the ideas. And then the select board can receive those and then meet, interview, and then polish things more and be more strategic for an eventual drafting of a RFP along lines of something that the community would want, have a better idea how it could fit. By then, we may have some of these environmental delineations completed, so we know more of the environment constraints. And we could have someone coming in just for Holy Angels. We could have someone coming in for Holy Angels in the town parking lot. We could have someone looking at the whole block. So it just gives us flexibility to think about potential.
Okay. I was gonna ask if you could someone could come in and propose.
Yep, if they just wanted Holy Angels by itself, they could.
As long as they've got deep pockets.
Yeah, but there's resources that are available, but it takes a lot of work and it requires support by the town.
Yeah.
To access those resources.
Well, it's probably way premature to talk about housing there at this point, because if we're doing housing, we would need the parking, so we probably need the whole. Does Upton have a parking requirement? How many
Yeah.
spaces you have to have in the downtown?
They just changed it, I read in your proposal, right? Doesn't have. to be-
Yeah, they had done that part of the Upton Business Center District, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
But residences,
For mixed use as part of
okay,
it.
yeah, well, I knew there was mixed use, so anyway, so downtown would be subject if you can count. You don't have to park near your, necessarily have a space near your place of living, you could have it over the community center.
I don't know about that because the VFW may not allow for
Well, the community center
that.
has its own spaces, okay. Maybe,
So another question, I'm not sure who. Because we have funds, if we wanted to, I'm not sure if we do, but we wanted to put some affordable housing there. And as an incentive or to try to motivate people to do so. How does that factor in, Joe? If you get responses back that, oh, it's nice if it's mixed use, it's commercial use and apartments. But if we wanted to put, if they come back with just maybe market rate, if we wanted to try to influence them, how would that process go?
I
Because
think
we might have money that they say, oh, that's fine.
I think that's where in reviewing the responses, I think the one, the meetings would all be public, so them presenting their proposals to the Affordable Housing Trust could attend, say, hey, we'd love to be able to partner. Maybe doing some buy downs of some of the units to make sure that they're affordable. The select board could say, well, if we're gonna have housing, let's identify what would we need to do to have some of that as affordable.
Or we could have a affordable housing developer propose to make it all affordable and sweeten it for that entity. So that, yeah. Yeah, buy downs seem pretty pricey.
They sure do.
Yeah,
Especially when it's rent.
do you know the square footage of, I'm sorry, I'm dwelling on this. Do you know the square footage of the Palladians?
I have to, not off the top of my head. No.
It's bigger than it seems from the street.
Yeah.
It's like a TARDIS, isn't it?
So do we want to
Inside.
segue back quickly, because I think we've sort of talked this to death, to go back to finances and about, you know, can you do your treasurer's report again?
Before we do that, Kay, could I just, there's one item, update on the Affordable House Trust Action Plan, RFQ.
Oh, sorry.
We executed the contract on that, so, and I just reached out to CMRPC today to forward a bunch of planning documents to start that process. So, but I imagine maybe next meeting, they'll have somebody here to like kick it off. So, but yeah, it's underway.
Mike, do we know a timeline as to when that would be completed?
Oh, yeah, I think they quoted us by the end of this year to have it complete, but I'm sure we can get it done before then. I have to double check the contract.
We're having public hearings tonight.
She's gonna hit people who speak out.
Execute contract.
Getting my contracts confused. MBTA communities is coming in earlier.
Yeah, it says, it's a 6-month process, but to be completed no later than December 31st of this year.
Thanks.
So we have a couple minutes left before we have to get out of here and the planning board comes in. So I just would like, since, you know, Maureen and Joe are here, to talk a little bit about finances. We're kind of operating blind because we don't know how much we have. We don't know how much is in our account. We don't know what's been transferred. We don't know what's been sent back. So I just wanted to turn it over to Brian, who's been trying to.
So at our last meeting, we talked about that we needed to have access to be able to easily be able to get those balances so we could do a monthly treasury report. Over the last month, with Mike's help and Grace's help, we've been trying to get that information. So Grace does have access to VADAR, which we understand is to be the reporting system. When she looks in there, she does not see 2 accounts for, came out of the special town meeting in November. So $100,000 and $15,000. So, and then we want that information also for the 2 existing accounts. She did provide me the information of the 2 existing Affordable Housing Trust accounts. But they're still show us having the $7,500 that we believe we've returned to the CPC. And the other account balance we would expect to have been unchanged. So there's a lot of, as Kathy mentioned, there's a lot of uncertainty as to are these, and in my mind, I see this as, do we not know how to access these reports? Do we not know how to know what accounts fall into an Affordable Housing Trust? Or transactions are not being done, accounts being created. So it's been a kind of a do loop over this past month. The other piece of what we'd like to get is the account balances of the CPA funds of the unrestricted account and also the community housing reserve account. And what Grace was able to provide me was a report that was as of June 30th, 2024. 2023, thank you. So 9 months. So I'm very confused as to, has there been no updates been done over 9 months when we know that we all pay our CPA collection, quarterly bills? We know the state has given us their matching funds. So that's where we'd like to be able to know. Like I said, is this just not us understanding how to get this information? Not readily available and clear, or transactions not being done? Which each one of those is concerning to us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the process of just writing an email to Kenny and copying you and Michael on it. I think it's a mixture of all of them. So for example, for CPA unrestricted and for the housing, that's only done 2 times a year because each month you have losses and gains, and that's a lot of activity that they don't do that on a monthly basis. They do it
Who is they? I'm sorry.
between Kenny and Jessica.
Okay.
So they don't do it on a monthly basis.
But each month or each quarter or throughout the months, there's collections being made. Those are known transactions. That I understand maybe the interest in investments and stuff.
I think what probably is best is that try to see if Kenny can just attend a meeting to explain it,
Yeah.
because if we just took, say, on the collection side, we don't know exactly what that workflow is. And also because you can have monthly gains and losses, it may not be an accurate picture. And the argument would be for the CPA reserve accounts, because you can't touch that until the end of the year, and there could be $1,000 swing one way or the other. What is the necessity in getting up-to-date monthly reports on that? But on the other accounts, absolutely. And specifically, he should have already set up the 2 special accounts for the articles. It's a question whether or not they're coded for Grace to be able to access. And those should be identified in the monthly reports that Michael, Grace, and I get to show what's happened and just the balances. The transfer should have also happened as well. I mean, that's what we received the email that he had. So I think probably it's best just to arrange for him to explain the CPC process for accounting of all those articles.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question, Joe?
Oh, sure.
Now, the Affordable Housing Trust is invested with the treasurer. And I
Yep.
believe through Unibank, they get a monthly statement that shows the interest, any transfers, any losses. That comes in every month, and I thought that would be part of their monthly reconciliation with everything.
That's where I don't want to misspeak for either Jess or Ken.
No, I don't either, but that's my understanding of how it works. The same with the CPA.
But I don't,
I
that's
believe-
where
Oh, but I believe the CPA accounts are with Unibank also.
they
get
very
monthly
likely. That's why I think having finance department come in to explain it, then it's just going to be easier than sort of having me trying to summarize what they then tell me as far as their workflow.
I have a couple questions. You mentioned a couple times losses. Why would they be lost?
Because it's invested.
Okay.
Investments have gains and losses. They have realized gains and unrealized losses.
Yeah.
But this is not unique to any reporting of gains and losses.
No.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the process of, as you know, of issuing RFQs and RFPs to spend money. We've taken a couple votes to, put money back into the CPC. And also, but the problem is we don't know what we have So we're spending money without, you know,
Right.
I mean, I always have my checkbook and I look at what my balance is. We don't know what our balance is.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's where it's gonna be easier for Kenny just to explain all of those. And if there's something on a staff level, if he set it up, but then because when you set up accounts, if it's a special article,
Yeah.
Grace may not have privileges to see it. So then I just need to make sure he
Yeah.
gives the privileges to see it and then handle that.
Can
That's the only uncertainty.
can we either have Kenny come in for the next meeting or to meet with Brian one-on-one?
That may be easier during the day because we can also just do it as Zoom. Let me reach out to him to sort of identify these main issues and say that, you know, for the April meeting, they're looking for more accurate information as well as how the trust itself can maintain transparency on the funds on a monthly
Yeah.
basis.
And imagine the CPC.
They don't
They
need
have
it,
even more interest.
but they don't need it on a monthly basis. Because if the only times you can expend are coming up to special town meeting and annual town meeting, and reallocate out of that, you just need to know the time frame around that. So like right now, Kenny's finalizing these numbers because they're needed in the town warrant.
But
For
even-
CPC,
Even in the CPC accounts, that's on a monthly basis too. They're invested accounts. They should be
Right.
showing gains and losses and interest, if there is any. It's the same, it should be a monthly reconciliation.
it's just a question as far as do they do it on a monthly or do they do it
Don't know.
on a quarterly basis? And that's where he's gonna be the best one to answer.
And Joe, doesn't the CPC meet monthly or a couple times and approve projects?
But it's based off of like that amount that then Kenny is preparing for,
Town meeting.
say this time of year for annual town meeting or special town meeting.
They don't meet monthly though, do they? The CPC?
They don't, but they meet regularly once you're around the town meeting.
Right, around, like everybody does. So that it's not like they meet monthly. It's, they'll have several meetings to hold public hearings. To
But
talk
I think
about,
they should have.
Yeah.
Timely information.
yeah, no, I,
And I'm not aware that the CPC has viewed that they don't have timely information.
yeah, Paul usually has, I mean, when I've asked him, he pretty much has it at his fingertips, so they may
Get something.
have it. Just another quick question. So, yeah, I think it's easier probably to schedule it, is if it's, you know, Brian and you guys and, you know, Kenny on a Zoom conference. But if he wants to come to a meeting, that's great too. You know, however it works best. But the other thing that we asked if, you could look into is with my recollection, and this is, I was just at a meeting, this before my time with the Affordable Housing Trust, is that when we were looking at doing that, a housing production plan, the Board of Selectmen committed some funding to it. And then there was items that we voted that came before us that basically wanted the Affordable Housing Trust to put the whole bill for the housing production plan. And I think what we discussed was that you going back or someone going back to look at what the Board of Selectmen or the Select Board
Please.
was going to do, or what they had represented they would do, and how much we owe. I think one of the things we did talk about was holding off payment to CMRPC, and CMRPC was sort of okay with that.
Yeah, Joe and I have been just updating CMRPC along the lines,
Yeah.
really like, hey, we're looking at this now, so sorry.
So, and maybe Maureen, you can help because I can't find any meeting minutes that identify the board having a discussion on setting a percentage. The only thing I saw was emails that included Derek, Kelly, and Paul identifying approximately, the plan was gonna be like $12,000. There was, that it was gonna be paid with the former article that we've even paid for one invoice, I think it was, Mike, out of that.
Yeah.
I could find nothing that said it was a 50-50.
It
And
was 5,000, 5,000, and the planning board was in kind. I thought it was 5,000 in kind in planning board hours, and then 5,000 from the
Yeah.
board of selectmen and 5,000 from affordable housing trust.
The in-kind was the CMRPC credit hours,
Yeah.
which I believe were already applied to them.
so I've just not seen it. All I need to know is if you want to have it as 5,000, I'm gonna probably have to find that money somehow.
I'm trying to
Uh,
think how we voted it. It was coming out of something, but I don't remember what it was coming out of.
Thought it was coming out of the selectmen's account.
I know, but I don't remember where it was coming from.
Maureen, I may even, we may. The only place I could really think is out of, the town planner had an expense account under the town manager.
Kind of.
Yeah.
That was $5,000. We really haven't touched it in FY '24. In FY '25, that is going away because it's being consolidated in land use. But that's where I'd probably have the $5,000.
Well, maybe
So-
we should talk about that at the next meeting then,
Next trust meeting or select boards?
select board.
Okay,
All right, because I know we voted something and I don't remember what account it was coming
yeah.
in. Okay,
Okay, well, we can resolve that because we're still holding them off. So, they're being very nice to us. So, we do have a planning board meeting scheduled. to
Yeah, I
start in
think
a couple minutes. Is there anything else important? I'm surprised there are people here. I'm looking forward to you. Um,
Make that meeting, can you?
They'll probably be
Yeah.
online.
Okay.
They'll probably be online. Yeah.
I don't know. I think a lot of people are planning to come. And we don't have our members here. Tommy's not coming, by the way.
Oh, no?
No, he had the second part of his dental surgery.
Oh, is he gonna be on?
No,
Julie's.
Oh.
Jay Gillen. So anyways, anything else we need to discuss? Or are we good? So you guys will work together to try to get,
Yeah.
if you can, before the next meeting. You'll finalize, you'll get the RFP, the RFQ out.
Yeah, I'll follow up with council.
And, hey,
Here it is. This lady wants to talk to you in a minute.
so. So do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, sorry.
Second?
Second?
Well, now we have to roll call because Maureen's on the phone.
what can I say?
So, so
Maureen,
anyways,
LI.
you can come. I want to see you again. So anyways, we have a motion to adjourn. Any discussion? Okay, Maureen,
Aye.
Brian, aye, Brian,
Aye.
Aye.
and me, aye. Okay, unanimous. We're good.